Yes, yes, I know it's brown, but I'm still the Flash, got the same powers and everything. Oh. Can't let hot dogs go to waste. I hope you're okay, lady.
Hello, Flash fans. Thanks so much for clicking on this video. My name is Chris. You know, it feels like with the Spider-Man No Way Home trailer out and everything, another movie that's bringing in the multiverse, The Flash, is getting buried under that hype. Well, not today. Even with the hype of Spider-Man No Way Home, I still am pretty pumped up to see the Flash movie, and we just got some cool stuff to talk about here. Some of the things that we're going to be discussing here today is we have a new set photo that shows us young Barry Allen's bedroom. I think there's a couple of hints of what we could be seeing throughout the movie, along with other set photos that lets us know some new villains that'll possibly be showing up in this movie. Even the cinematographer of the film talking about its tone and what we can expect to see in it. So I'm gonna need you Flash fans to prove to me you're still excited for this movie by smashing that like button, subscribing if you want more great movie related content, and comment down below what you think of all this stuff. Starting off with some details provided to us from the cinematographer involved with the Flash movie. Now, funny enough, the cinematographer of the movie, Henry Brom, is the same person who did the cinematography for the Suicide Squad, so keep that in mind. He worked on the Suicide Squad, the movie with probably the highest critical score this year so far, had this to say about The Flash. The Flash is going great. I mean, it's a complex movie, and it's a fantastic concept of bringing in the generations of these kind of comic books. Again, it's not really a comic book movie. It's not based in reality, but it's a much more kind of technically complex. I think all the filmmakers are really keen that the technical complexity of the storytelling doesn't get in the way of just good quality filmmaking. Hopefully, I don't think it'll ever come across as a superhero movie. It will come across as a movie, and that's what it is. I think that's the way these things need to go. We need to be making great films that happen to have superheroes who have truthful characters behind them with all character flaws that we find in humanity. Now, while some of the stuff he said right there really excites me to hear that they're putting in that much thought into the Flash movie, and they saying it doesn't really feel like a comic book movie, and that in general it's just a great movie, I am kind of tired of this stigma some people are having in Hollywood where just because it's a comic book movie, it can't be a great movie on its own merits. We live in a world now where comic book movies have been nominated for Oscars. I don't think there's anything wrong with a movie feeling like a comic book movie. I feel like that's why they are getting made, is because they are comic book properties, and that's what's hot right now. Besides, if you really think about it, this Flash movie is like the extreme comic book movie. There's no way in hell it's just gonna feel like a regular old movie, because you're throwing in the multiverse, you're connecting it to Tim Burton's Batman. Not only that, you're gonna have multiple Batman, you're gonna have a Supergirl, and also two Flashes. Like, it's kind of as comic book as you can get here. Other than that, he does praise Michael Keaton's performance in the movie and says it was awesome to see him bring that character back. That the film also has a very big emotional punch, and I would hope so, because they're finally delving into the origin of the Flash and Barry Allen with his mom being murdered and his dad in prison. So hearing the cinematographer talk about that and knowing that he worked alongside one great comic book movie, The Suicide Squad, it's got me excited. Now, as far as set photos go involving the Flash, one that I thought was just really fun to look at is we have director Andy Muschietti here with young Barry Allen, played by Ian Lowe. But it's not just that. We have Barry Allen's childhood bedroom right here in front of us. That really shows us why Ezra Miller's Barry Allen has a real quirky, fun personality. I mean, the man is a fan of the best Scooby-Doo movie ever made, Scooby-Doo 2: Monsters Unleashed, which, funny enough, was written by James Gunn. So James Gunn, the writer, exists in the DCEU, even though the Suicide Squad also exists in the DCEU. Wonder if they've met. He also has a poster of the iconic classic masterpiece Cats and Dogs, along with, of course, Looney Tunes back in action. I could say young Barry Allen had impeccable taste. The other things to notice here that feel like it's a big clue to other stuff we'll see is there's a lot of space imagery here. Now, this just could be the cliche thing that a young child is just fascinated with space, so there's space stuff everywhere. But I mean, you have planets as his wallpaper, you have the spaceship as his curtains, some hanging planets over here, more spaceship stuff, really kind of hinting at some of the cosmic level stuff and space shifting that the Flash can do once he starts time traveling. And I guess maybe to another extent Supergirl in this movie, since she is going to be an alien coming to Earth and the Flash is said to be saving her. Kind of how Superman in the Flashpoint comic book series was abducted and taken by the government, except in this movie it'll be Supergirl. But even just finding details in the background, this lets us know we're going to be getting scenes of young Barry Allen, and when you get scenes of young Barry Allen, we's gonna see some mommy die. I think that's gonna be a real heartbreaking scene and could give us clues to how it went down, whether the Reverse Flash is connected to it, whether it was just a regular street thug or home invader. This scene might break a lot of hearts, especially if the Flash is watching from a distance, and maybe it's not so much a flashback, but an actual scene that grown-up Flash has to witness through time traveling. Oh, and maybe the last thing I want to point out with might be a stretch here, but young Barry Allen is wearing a shirt with a little shark on it. Now, again, I'm stretching here, but King Shark was a real big standout that a lot of people loved from the Suicide Squad. When that happens, Warner Brothers is going to be like, all right, what else can we put King Shark in? Oh, he's a Flash villain? Flash 2. King Shark confirmed. There's your Easter egg. I did it, fool! Other than that set photo, we have seen other set photos that hint to some of the newer villains that we could be seeing popping up here or set up for sequels. Like when we had already been seeing set photos of the Central City Forensic Department involved with the police department that Barry Allen works at. But then we got to see some of the trailers for the actors with their character names on them, and the names go as Ed Wade, Patty, and Albert. Now, people started digging through the library of the Flash characters, and they came to the conclusion that Albert could actually turn out to be Albert Desmond, who was a person who worked in the forensic science department with Barry Allen, but then eventually turned evil as Dr. Alchemy, whose powers are described as Mr. Element, Desmond wields an element gun that affects the structure of elements. As Dr. Alchemy, he wields the Philosopher's Stone, which has the power to transmute an element into any other element. He can control it from a distance through the use of telekinetic links. So it looks like that's who Rudy Mancuso could be playing in this movie, is Dr. Alchemy, and they could be setting up his role in the Flash movie to either be a future villain or a villain in here, because people are now theorizing with all these villains showing up, an evil version of the Flash, Dr. Alchemy, and then that other person, Patty, who people are connecting to the character Patty Spivot, who is another co-worker of the Flash in the forensic science department and sometimes a love interest. In certain issues of the Flash, she does become the character Hot Pursuit, who is another speedster but uses a motorcycle to get to the Flash's speed and fight him. This leads people to believe that this not only is a Flashpoint story, but it could be the Flash and the Rogues, which is almost kind of like the Flash's version of the Sinister Six, just with not that many villains, but it is usually comprised of the minor Flash villains who join together to fight him. That might be what we're seeing here. Evil Flash, Dr. Alchemy, Hot Pursuit, and maybe anybody else they want to throw in there that we don't know. Now, I'd love to believe the Ed Wade trailer is for Ebar Thorne, usually known as Reverse Flash, but I feel like that's such a big stretch from taking Ed Wade to then the Reverse Flash's name, but that could be it. I could see that happening. But so much is already going on in this Flash movie. I would rather them give Reverse Flash his own film that isn't already boggled up with all this stuff in it. Still, those are just some things currently happening right now with the Flash movie. I just wanted to bring this to your guys' attention because it feels like we're not talking about the Flash enough. Getting excited for DC Fandome, because when that happens, things are gonna go wild. But let me know your guys' thoughts and theories down below, especially you more knowledgeable Flash fans, because while I still love me the Flash, I am still a beginner level into his universe and need to do more digging. But as always, don't forget to like, subscribe, follow me on Twitter at 3C Films or on TikTok at 3C Films. But as always, I'm Chris. Take care.